Welcome to Roundtable Mindset, the podcast where we seek to understand and share different perspectives in order to grow and challenge our own. And we encourage you, our guest, to do the same.
Each week we will pick a topic to discuss, sharing our own unique thoughts and insights. There will be times when we won't agree, and let's be real, that's probably going to be most of the time, and that's okay. We feel it's important to understand that we can live in this polarized world and still respect one another and even be friends.
Well, hello, and welcome back to Roundtable Mindset. This is Jamie.
And I'm Malin.
And we're back after a break.
After Thanksgiving. Oh.
Yes, Thanksgiving. It was a good Thanksgiving. My brother, Ben, who you all know from our Unicorn in the Room episode, bought a house. And so we got to go have Thanksgiving at his new house. It was pretty fun.
That's neat. That's
lots of space.
You're like, it's a new place and it's not mine. So that makes it good.
Well, we've just, when the kids grew up, suddenly they take up more space or something. It just felt so crowded at my house, at my dad's house. So it was kind of cool to have it at my brother's house, where he purposely bought the largest banquet table on the planet, and we had lots of space to do the things. So it was a good day.
So I want to know, do you have more than one meal with the family? Did you go to a couple different places on that day, or is it just being hosted by your brother?
We just did my family this year. We were planning on going to Doyle's family on Saturday, after Thanksgiving, but they canceled it because of the weather. So they have a big family reunion every year. So I was kind of sad not to see all of them, but we will. They're talking about rescheduling it or something. So I think we might need to move it to March because, then there's no weather.
We need to move everything to March. I already have a countdown to spring. Don't even get me started. Woke up with snow on the ground today. But my Thanksgiving was different this year than normal. So we ended up, most years we travel to my family's because I live the furthest away. So my brother is actually the in-between point between my father and us. And so we all kind of gravitate towards my brother's house when he's gracious enough to open his house, let us stay the night, and then everybody brings food. Him and his wife make a whole smorgasbord of stuff. We eat on it for like 2 days. It's Thanksgiving. So this year we decided that we were probably going to just take a break. This was my daughter's, she just turned 18. So this is the Thanksgiving before she goes to college. So we were kind of taking a page of saying, let's be a little selfish. Let's not travel this year and just capitalize on the time that we have together as a family. And I want to say for us, that was probably the best choice we made. So we stayed home for the first time in years. We tried watching the Thanksgiving parade. However, we couldn't find it, or we didn't have the right streaming network, or who knows what that was. So we just kind of, cooked food together, watched some television together, played a game as a family. So our family game of choice is Monopoly. We, courtesy of my mom, we have her own house rules, so we don't play the typical Monopoly rules there, but it was still a lot of fun. And my daughter's boyfriend came over and had what I'll call second dinner with us because we ate pretty late. So our first dinner was around 3:30, and then we ate again around 8:30 before we put all the food away. And the game started at 5. And Jamie, we did not get done playing Monopoly until after 11 o'clock.
I will tell you, you didn't miss anything with the Macy's Day Parade. It isn't what it used to be. I don't know. We were really kind of sad. Doyle had to get up on time so we could watch it. And it was just kind of...
just wasn't worth seeing? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I feel like I can't decide if it's perspective. Like as an adult, it's just not as cool as it used to be. And my house was super quiet. So, it wasn't like getting the kids up and excited to see, Snoopy in the big balloon, right? But it wasn't, I don't know, it just wasn't like it used to be when I remember that was a big part of our holiday tradition when I was a kid was watching the Macy's Day Parade, right?
That's how Thanksgiving began, is watching the parade. Doesn't matter where you were at, what house you went to, it's always on and you always watched it. And then lunch was either immediately after or a couple hours after, but it always began watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade.
Mm-hmm. Doyle said to me, I feel like this is all about selling stuff. And I just had to chuckle because, you know, it is the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. So yes, it's all about selling stuff.
You're like, I've never thought about that from the department store that hosts it, but that's a good point. Kidding. Just kidding.
It was great.
All right. What else is on there? I know as you started talking, we kind of missed a week here. So I feel like we have so much to catch up on. There's so much that's been going on in our podcasting and our personal lives. What else do we have to catch up on, Jamie?
Well, I don't know if anybody noticed a surprise drop on Tuesday.
What? No way. Tell me more.
So we had planned to record for Thanksgiving and, you know, stuff came up. And so we weren't able to. So we didn't get to preview you guys. So we're going to post view you guys about the Talk About It Tuesday. That is a new segment that we're doing. And I'm super excited about it because.
Well, and this is one that, Jamie, not only are you going to be excited about it, I'm excited about it because it's something new. It's something that we're just trying, and we're testing the waters a little bit, and we're trying to find our stride, but we're both super, super excited.
Yeah, it's going to be, I guess I'm excited about it because there's so many. I don't know if you remember a while back, one of our episodes, we tried to talk a little bit about the UFO,
Las
UFO.
Vegas.
Yeah. Well, no, wasn't it the hearings in Congress about the UFOs,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And it was just kind of like, so we're hoping to just be able to bring some, you know, goofy news, weird news, current events, political things, you know, that kind of stuff, and have a quick banter about our thoughts and feelings on specific news articles or things that we find or things that you find. So please send us your ideas. If you see something you'd love to hear us riff about, send it our way, because I think that would be fun too.
Oh, that's exactly. So we're finding a lot of weird and funny and strange and political articles in there. It's actually harder, I think, to decipher which ones we're going to bring on. But one thing that I love about this is it gives us that current event lens that we've been wanting to do ever since we started this podcast. We just haven't been able to seem to find a place for them. So this segment that we started, it's not meant to be any more than like 15, 20 minutes tops, not to be too serious sometimes, because some of the articles that we have, I know the first one we just did is kind of on the humorous side. They're meant to be sometimes lighthearted and sometimes really, on the sci-fi a little bit, or what's happening in technology, or what's the political landscape look like. And that to me is kind of what energizes me, is because it's going to be such a variety of different topics that kind of come up as, the time kind of, dictate to us. But it's not always going to be so serious. Sometimes they're just meant to be fun, and we're probably going to laugh more than we talk because some of these articles are just ridiculous, and I can't even believe they were printed, and here we are talking about them. So I'm really looking forward to this new segment that we're doing. And quite honestly, I know we haven't really talked about it, but see the pun I did there? But Talk About It Tuesday, I love the name. Like when we were like spitballing and coming up with what are we going to call it, when we landed on that, I was just like, I love it. I love everything about it. And I just want everybody else to be as excited about it as we are.
Well, and now that they have like taken away the copyright on Taco Tuesday, we are doing Taco About It Tuesday. So there you go.
So don't come after us. It's all in good fun.
It's free to use. We're using it. So
So anyways, I hope you enjoy it. Like Jamie said, if you have any feedback or you have articles that you've come across, it doesn't matter, local, national. I almost prefer that it's articles that nobody's actually heard of before. We found a couple really good ones that didn't make national news that are like, these are fantastic. Why aren't more people talking about them? So again, anything that you have, if you think it's worth us mentioning, you can send it to us on our email, which is roundtablemindset@gmail.com. Okay.
I was going to say, I have a question for you, our social media guru. I don't know if you guys know this. Behind the scenes, Malin is all about figuring out the best ways to let all of you know what's happening on our podcast through our social medias. So Malin, is there some social media news we need to share?
Jamie, I'm so glad you asked. And how timely. Yes, we're being a little punchy. I think it's because of all the turkey that's still in my system. So a little bit of a change that's going on.
I had turkey for lunch, so I'm pretty sure it's the turkey.
I've had turkey for every meal for the last 3 days. I'm at my limit. It was great turkey, but anything after 3 days. Yes. So we are actually doing a small transition. So we have started out with having a social channel on, I think you call it X, or the app formerly known as Twitter. We have actually decided we are transitioning over. So we're going to leave X or Twitter behind us, and we are moving full force into Threads, which I don't know if everybody or has anybody heard of Threads. It comes from Instagram, I believe. It is from the company that brings us Facebook, Instagram. Threads is their version, Instagram's version of Twitter, basically. And it's a cross between Instagram pictures and how you post them to getting information out like how Twitter does their platform. So it's a very easy to use, intuitive platform. And what I really like about it is there's actual people out there. There's conversations that people are having. There's communities that you can build there. On Twitter, since we've been trying to grow our community on that platform, it's been very difficult because there's so many bots. There's so many, almost I call them pyramid schemes, people trying to sell you things, that you don't really have the opportunity to connect with individuals and talk about certain things and have that community, which we were really looking for. So the last few days, we've been really investing in Threads and trying to find our community. And I'd have to say that they have welcomed us and kind of brought us into the fold. And the last couple days, we've gained almost 500 followers, and those numbers keep going up. So I want to say thank you to all of those wonderful listeners out in Threads that are following us and listening to our content and responding to us. It's very much appreciated, and we look forward to continuing to grow our community there and talking with each and every one of you. So that transition is happening. We're going to be cutting off our Twitter account probably by the end of the year. So if you are following us on Twitter or X, please make sure that you head over to Threads, and you can follow us under the same name. It's at Roundtable Mindset, and you can find us there. It's also connected through our Instagram account too. So if you follow us on Instagram, you can also get to Threads through that app as well.
Yes, I downloaded Threads and was automatically being followed by following 8 people or something. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, they really integrate it very well. So I think finding people that you follow in Instagram is almost expected when you start Threads. It's almost like it's already here waiting for you, which was kind of nice.
Yeah, it's very cool. There's lots going on as we draw to the end of the year, huh? And not only that, I'm super excited about some of the topics we have coming for you guys. So we made a whole list, a production list and a release list and all of that. So I'm pretty excited for what's coming. There's some surprises on the way.
And the end of 2023 and 2024, I'm really looking forward to, because I feel like we're getting more and more comfortable in this space. And I think we're really starting to understand that we are podcasters now and we're not just playing the part. And so I'm really looking forward to all the fun things that we're starting to open ourselves up to on this platform. So I think 2023, we're going to end on a high note. And I think 2024 is just going to be so much better than what we can even think of now, because I'm going to say, I think we found our stride. We're comfortable. And I think we're going to be a lot more relaxed and open to things in 2024. So I'm really, really looking forward to that.
Well, and truthfully, I mean, let's be honest, Malin, I think you're chomping at the bit for 2024 because you are ready to dive into politics. And so,
yes. Well, and again, I don't want to raise the bar too high, but one of the things that Jamie and I have debated, discussed, yelled at each other for probably more than anything. I think the first day we met, we said, "Hi, how are you? Good. Let's go to lunch together." And then the next day we were fighting about politics. And I think it was pretty much the same from that day forward.
Probably.
So with 2024 being a pivotal year, and I won't get into it, but yes, I am super excited to start talking to you, my friend, about politics and the political landscape and get your opinions on some of these hot button issues that I am just chopping at the bit to talk about.
Negotiations continue. So, with all of that,
but we're getting closer.
Said,
we're getting closer.
Oh, fun. So, with all of that, Malin, that's kind of a good recap. But we have a fairly timely topic to discuss today. I would say. What shall we discuss today, my friend?
So there was a little bit of I will say, to get to this topic, just to give a little backstory, we had to kind of consolidate a couple, food for thoughts. We had another topic that we were going to do standalone. And we thought, with us kind of coming off of Thanksgiving and, December and Christmas is literally at the doorstep waiting to be ushered in. I mean, which I can't because we just got done with Halloween like yesterday, it feels like. But today's topic, we are going to talk about the commercialization of Christmas and, kind of talk about what does Christmas mean to you, Jamie, to me? What have we seen over the years in our lifetime around Christmas? Do we think it's getting overly commercialized? Is there really any spirit of Christmas left? And, that goes as far as what does decorations look like? When should we decorate? What's appropriate? Is there an appropriate time to decorate? So we just want to kind of wrap some of these things up into a nice little bow and just have one conversation on it. And we thought it was very timely after Thanksgiving for us to kind of dive in this right now, as I'm sure everybody's starting to recognize that the holiday season has begun. We just wrapped up Black Friday, and now we are full force going into December and the Christmas season. So with all of that, today's topic.
'Tis the season.
'Tis the season.
'Tis the season.
Just how much of it do you have to pay for? I'm just kidding. Are you talking spirit of Christmas, or are you paying cash or credit for that? So, Jamie, I'm going to let you go ahead and kick us off. What do you think about Christmas and the commercialization of it?
Well, I'm not going to. Christmas is like my favorite time of year, my absolute favorite time of year, and I think Christmas is like one of those events that our families. Like, at least at my house with my family, Christmas was an event. Every year it was an event. It was one of the only days that my parents didn't work all day. It was I think it was my mom's favorite holiday. I'm positive it was my mom's favorite holiday. So she went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over Christmas, everything, right? I mean, she overspent, she overdid everything. And so it's always, I feel like this is my favorite time of year because of all of the memories and traditions that come into it. You know what I mean? So Thanksgiving, November is kind of where it starts for me. Like that's when it starts kicking off for me. Although I'll be honest, your resident empty nester friend here, it's a little different this year. And so I'm kind of feeling out how that's going to be moving forward, because I have had 18 years of the way Christmas is at my house, and now Christmas is a little different. So, as much as those traditions are always there, they always are shifting too. So I don't know. I love this time of year, like hot cocoa and cold and Christmas lights and all the stuff. You had me at cocoa and Christmas lights. The cold I could do without, but that's another topic. I can't argue with you. And some of the things that you were saying really resonated with me because, as you know, my parents, they were in the service industry as well. And so we owned a family restaurant for
Oh, it's been like 37 years at this point. So all growing up, my parents owned a restaurant, and so they worked nights, weekends, holidays, and there was only a couple holidays where they closed, and Thanksgiving and Christmas were really, I think there was 5 holidays they closed a year, and 3 of those were in Thanksgiving and Christmas. So it was a really big deal around that time when my parents would actually have a day off. Like you said, they would not have to go out, so we got to stay home. And some of the things I looked forward to the most as a kid is, yes, I looked forward to getting presents under the tree and seeing Santa, came and brought the stuff that I wanted. But really what I enjoyed doing more than anything is we always played games. And, I know I just talked about it at the beginning of our conversation around what we did for Thanksgiving, and we played Monopoly. That was the game of choice. My mom loved Monopoly. My dad, he didn't really care for any kind of board game, so he just played because that was what my mom liked. And we had such a good time. And it's really the only time in my childhood I can look back and see every member of our family there around the table, and we would laugh and we would cut up, and everything else kind of just disappeared. Like all of the stress of what the restaurant brought, and all the stresses of what I had to do at school. And, my sister, who was a decade older than I am, she was looking at, high school when I was still in grade school. And so we were just at different parts of our lives. And I remember thinking that was a time where we sat down and just enjoyed each other. And that was very rare. That's difficult to say that out loud, but it's true. Like, we were together as a family, but we never always enjoyed each other's company. And so it was these games that we'd play around Christmas time that we really did enjoy each other, and we really had a good time, and we really talked, and there was no, hurt feelings between, my brother and I, or there was no fighting between my mom and dad. And my sister was just being, a sister. I'm almost out of the house and I'm almost an adult. And it was just fun. And those are the times that I remembered. And those are the traditions I like to take forward, in my life, which I have, and my kids are benefiting from. But I don't know, something for me has happened over the years. And I think it started with me working in retail when I was in college, where the sparkle of Christmas has started to dim a little bit. And, I don't mind sharing, when I was in college, I worked for Walmart for many years, and they were a really good employer to me. But I'd always say, if you haven't worked retail and if you haven't worked Walmart around Christmas, you need to give it a try, because you have a whole new respect for people who have to. And it really tests your love for the holiday, because you start seeing this holiday through the lens of commercialism, and it really takes the joy and the fun out of it rather quickly. And I had to do it for 7 holiday seasons, and each one just got worse and worse and worse.
You worked there for 7 years? I didn't realize you worked there that long, Malin.
Well, seven Christmas. I was there for about 6.5 years. But if you remember, I still was working or living in the dorms when I first started working there. So I had my first Christmas, and then I had to go home, and then I came back. So I technically didn't work there that whole time, but I did have that Christmas season under my belt. So yeah, for like 6 or 7 Christmases, I worked for Walmart and had to go through the horror that is retail for the holidays.
I did that 2 different years in 2 different jobs. One of them, I worked at the Walmart portrait studio. Do you remember when they used to have the portrait studio in the corner?
Yep. I sure do.
Like the $5.99 portrait special, where you got this huge package of, Christmas time at the Walmart portrait studio was hell on earth. It was hell on earth. Like lines of screaming babies in their perfect Christmas outfits with stressed out mamas. And that was a blast. And then I worked at a little like boutique, like I worked at Claire's for a year during Christmas. That was also fun. Black Friday at Claire's.
Yeah, I loved working Black Friday at Walmart, because you were busy and you just saw, like, it was almost, you almost couldn't make it up. right? When you hear lines of people, one of my first Christmases the manager got beat up by the customers because they didn't have enough Furbies. Furbies, with the big ears. They look like, you know what I'm talking about?
I remember. Yes. Remember when we got our Furbies?
Oh, I do. But the manager got beat up from a bunch of people who were waiting in line, and they only got a certain number in. But he went out to the parking lot, and there was a group of people waiting for him, and the police had to be called because they were beating him up because the store didn't get enough Furbies in. And they had to walk away with no Furbies for their kids for Christmas. You add that to already people are being what I'll call waterboarded by Christmas music starting in October. I mean, you still have Halloween stuff up and you set for Christmas, and then the Christmas music starts playing. And I don't care what kind of music it is, but if you've been listening to it for 2.5 months, towards the end, you're just like, enough already. I'd rather stick pencils in my ears than have to listen to the song one more time. So I think there is when I started realizing that Christmas wasn't just, it wasn't anymore just about traditions and holidays and goodwill towards men and being charitable and filling the void with love. It was really becoming more about how much you could buy for your family, how much could you put underneath the tree, and what presents were there. Which ones could you get off your kids' list was more important than any of those other things. I really started seeing this holiday through those lenses, and it started with me working at Walmart. And I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, corporate Walmart is evil, but I'm saying it did give me a lens of which I had no experience prior to starting to work there that I do now have. And I think I've gotten better since I haven't worked in retail for many years at this point, but it makes me look at the holiday a little bit differently. And I could say over the years, it feels like our focus is becoming less and less on even like Christmas traditions and more about how much we can save or how much we can buy and stick under a tree. And that's what's really kind of bothering me around this holiday. And when we decided to talk about commercialization of Christmas, I can't even say that I am an observer of that happening. I have to admit to myself that I am a contributor for that, because how many times have I focused on, I got to make sure that, my kids want this popular toy. Where am I going to go get this popular toy? I need to go find this popular toy. And I'm not always the kindest person or the most patient person when I'm out shopping. Thank you, online. That has helped tremendously. But, I talk about all these negative things that are happening, and I want to make sure that I am checking myself. I'm not a casual observer just seeing this happen. I'm also a contributor to making it happen. And I guess the question I want to ask myself and ask you is, why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we just sit here and focus on the material around a season that is meant to be about the spirit of mankind and goodwill and all those wonderful attributes, yet we boil it down to, let me get you a present and stick it under a tree for you to open?
It's interesting that you bring that up, because I found some information I wanted to share. I was kind of doing a quick search on like the commercialization of Christmas and what that looks like and things like that. And I found an article, and it talked about how on average Americans spend around $1,000 each Thanksgiving. It's like $987 or something like that. And 71% of that is spent on gifts, on Christmas gifts. So I was kind of surprised by that. But then I also, and reading on in this article, they said that Canadians spend nearly $1,000 more than than the average US citizen. So I was like, holy cow, they're spending $2,000 a year on Christmas. And I'm like, if 70% of that is going to gifts, then the other 30% is probably the food and the celebration and the, decorations and things like that.
And can we just talk about decorations for a second? I want to make sure you finish your thought, but I do want to circle back around to decorations for a second when you're done. So please finish your thought.
No, well, the only other thing that I saw in here, so last year's holiday season's total was approximately $936.3 billion.
Did you say billion with a B?
936. First of all, I love that they said approximately.
Right.
936.3. Like 936 billion would have been enough for me, but the 0.3 is important, I'm sure. And that was more than double what we spent in 2004.
Oh my goodness.
So from 2004 to 2022, it over doubled the amount that we spend.
That's unbelievable.
It is.
Unbelievable.
It is. And I will be super transparent. I'm so guilty of overspending at Christmas time for sure. And what's interesting to me though, as you were talking, is that I feel like that has shifted for me. And I wonder if is that like a normal thing? Do we, when our kids are young or, when we're younger, is that more the drive? And then as we get older, it becomes more sentimental. I have no idea. But for me, I was one of those people on Black Friday poking my fingers through the plastic of the pallets at Walmart to put my hand on the Monster High doll that my daughter wanted and another one on the Monster High doll that my sister wanted, while my stepmom was in the other aisle putting her fingers on some Legos for my son, right? I mean, we divided and conquered. We were those people. Black Friday was my sport, okay? And now it was my Super Bowl, man. I mean, we ate turkey early in the day so that we could rest and then go back to Walmart to stand in line or to Target or whatever. One year we took chairs to sit in line because we knew it was going to be a line for TVs. Wow. I had a folding chair so I could sit in the canned good aisle waiting to get back to the TVs. So, I have been in that space. I'm not in that space anymore. And I kind of poo-poo it off on the fact that my kids aren't clamoring for the latest toy or whatever anymore. I also think online shopping helps a ton. So I don't have to go to the stores, but apparently it was still crazy this year. So there are still people in that headspace. I don't think it's like a societal thing. I also don't know that it's a societal thing that has grown, although I guess those numbers might contradict that a little bit, or is it because costs are higher? I have no idea. Do we have more people in the country? I have no idea, but
doesn't that paint a story though? Like, we all know that things cost a lot more than they did a couple years ago. So that means that people aren't being deterred from purchasing, even though we know it's going to cost more. So, I mean, that has a story in and of itself. I have driven around on fumes before, trying to test the limit of what my car can actually run off of, because I didn't want to stop and get gas at $3.15. And yet, as a country, we're like, oh, $10 billion? Yeah, whatever. Write a check. We'll move on.
Well, not 10 billion, $936.3 billion on Christmas last year.
I wanted, I sorry.
36.3.
I should have said approximately 10 million. I mean, but you get my point. Like, there's a motivator there. And I think people, as a parent myself, the motivator for me is I want to make sure my kids have the best Christmas ever. But then I'm not teaching my kids what the true meaning of Christmas is about. And as much as I want to sit here and try to get on a high horse and say, oh, my kids know the meaning of Christmas from a religious aspect, which they do. But in my day-to-day practice, what am I showing them? And that's where I have to look at the ugly truth in the mirror, which is I'm showing them that it's more important to have something wrapped under the tree that you wanted than it is to really look at this holiday the way it's intended. And, go to a soup kitchen and volunteer, or make food and take it to a homeless shelter, or maybe make a gift rather than having to go buy it because you spent time doing it, showing them that it's not about what you get, but what you give, which makes the difference. And that's where I look at myself in the mirror and I think I have not done the best job that I could have in that avenue. And I probably should have. I probably should have spent some more time teaching them. Giving is a way more joyful and impactful than it is receiving. Although it's fun to receive, it can be just as equally fun as to give. And I kick myself because I've had 18 years with my daughter, and now, she's going off to college next year. Yes, some more self-reflection with Malin and his kids. That's right. But I've had that time, and now she's an adult and she's going to be starting her own traditions. And have I taught her well enough for her to start wanting to interject some of those principles into her Christmas traditions? I don't know, but I don't think I've helped in any way. And that makes me sad because, again, I can be on a sideline and say, oh, commercialization of Christmas and look what it's doing to the holiday. But my hands aren't clean in that regard. And I can't fool myself to think that they are. So I just think that's really, I don't know, that's what I'm struggling with when I hear about commercialization of Christmas. That's what I struggle with. And is how do you start showing, how do I start correcting it? So I recognize it. How do I start correcting it? And I don't know what the answer to that is.
Well, and I think part of it for me has always been that overindulgence isn't about it's not about for me, it's about giving. I love giving gifts. It's my favorite thing to do. And finding the perfect gift is kind of the thing for me. So it is kind of, that sounds really conceited. I was going to say, it is just about being generous and showing care to the people that I love and things like that. And it is kind of selfish because that's how I showed my kids for so long that they are valued and they are loved is, by showering them with these gifts that I wanted to give them and that they were super excited to get. What I have loved is watching my kids grow over the years, and I know that that's not what they took away from it. You know what I mean? A couple of years ago, I can't remember when, probably 3 or 4 years ago now, my son and daughter both had their first jobs. So they actually had money and they were able to do their own Christmas shopping rather than me taking them Christmas shopping and purchasing the gifts that they were going to give to somebody else. Right. And my son came home and he was so excited. And I think his sister helped him wrap the gift and he gave it to me on Christmas morning. And it was like a trophy that said, "Congratulations on adulting." And he was so excited about this thing. It still sits on my entertainment center. I look at it every single day because he was over the moon at the, at the fun that he got to have picking out that gift. And it's still, I don't know, it's been fun to watch them catch that same excitement for picking out the perfect gift. You know what I mean? For someone else. And it's just a way of showing love, to me. So.
Yeah, no, and I don't want to discount that because, my daughter does the same thing. She's been working full time now this last year. And so Christmas is, she's an excellent gift giver. I wish I had her ability to give amazing gifts. She's thoughtful. Sometimes she makes things. She goes and finds the things that people just absolutely love because it's part of who they are as a person. I love that. I am nowhere near as good a gift giver as she is. But again, I'd almost challenge, we're still staying in the vein of commercializing Christmas. Not once have we talked about where are we going to go help this holiday season. My heart was swelled with pride. She started putting together a Christmas giving tree this year for her office or for her place of employment. And so she took it upon herself to organize the tree, reach out to organizations to see if they need anything. And that really was that's amazing. That's what the spirit of Christmas is about, is thinking beyond ourselves. And it doesn't really matter if we get a gift or not, but it's how do we help other people in this time of need? And, just to reflect, the importance of it is of caring for one another. And, as a kid, I always thought of, there was Santa and we don't have to get into that, but we can, but there's, Santa and reindeers and all the fun activities as a kid. And there was just this sense of, unity that it seemed like fighting kind of quieted down around this time of year. And I don't know, maybe I'm moonlighting a little bit as an adult. Maybe this wasn't really true, but I kind of felt like it was. The news seemed to be a little bit brighter. Everything just seemed to be a little bit more, I don't know, not so negative and not so dire around, the Christmas season. And you just don't see that anymore. And it's like people don't care. And, and this, we don't have to talk about this, but this is just an example, which is, you have to be careful of how you even wish somebody a Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays or Kwanzaa or whatever it is, because there's some sensitivity around it. And it's like, where did the intention of just greeting somebody with well wishes? When did we lose that? Because it's about specifically the word you use. And I know words matter, and you've said that before in previous episodes, Jamie. So I don't want to discount that, but at the same time, it's like, it seems like we've just fallen into this void around everything is so sensitive and everything is so, I'd say commercialized, that there's really no meaning left in Christmas, which I hate to even say those words out loud. And I'm sure, there are some people in this world that do not feel the same way that I feel. I'm sure there's people listening to me now that are like, okay, dude, Christmas is not ruined. Like, people still do that. But in my life experience, it just seems like we're losing that Christmas feeling and the importance of it and what it really means. And it is just all about how much money we have to spend and how much gifts that we have to give, rather than just about, goodwill and taking care of one another and having time to just be silent and peaceful and enjoying each other's companies.
Well, and I completely agree. And I think that's part of, it's part of what I've tried to raise my kids with, is that sense of goodwill toward men, right? When they were younger, we used to go through their toys every year and donate the really good stuff that they weren't going to play with anymore, to be given to families that needed it. We also, I remember one year, one of my favorite years, they had, I had socked away a little extra so that we could go shopping, and went and got some names off the tree, the angel tree, so that they could donate to that. Several years we did like the Christmas shoe boxes, and things like that. So I think that's important. It's a massively important part of raising our kids to understand the value in this time of year. As I'm sure you're aware, I don't put as much emphasis on like the religious meaning of the holiday, but definitely, like, I know, shocked face. But, I definitely did take the opportunity when my kids were younger to, help them understand the value in being a good world citizen and offering that charity and generosity to others, because I think that's super important. So yeah, I think that's a valuable piece of it. I won't talk a ton about what we do now for that kind of stuff, because I don't know. It feels smarmy, like bragging about it or something, and I don't want to do that. But
enough about you, Jamie. Good grief.
Yeah, right.
No, but one of the things that I did see when I was working at Walmart that I absolutely loved, and I don't think people do it anymore because I don't think people have layaways, but we had, they called themselves Secret Santas that would come in, and they would say, give me a layaway that a family owes, the remaining balance of it. And I think it was like around 50% of the balance still. And they would come in a couple weeks before Christmas, right? And they would pull up these accounts and they would pay the entire layaway off, and they would pay for these families' presents. And they would just say, please say, it was from like a Secret Santa, or, from Santa, something just really cute. They weren't expecting anything in return. And they may, depending on the dollar amount, they may come in and pay for one, or I saw up to 4 one time. A family came in and did that. And I thought that is a remarkable thing to do. And I said, I always vowed, I said, when I get to a place where, I'm not eating ramen for every meal and barely making my rent paycheck, I want to be able to do something like that, because I thought, what a powerful way to just love on a family that you probably will never meet. Mm-hmm. And the importance of that gift for the parents, because, they're working, they're doing what they can. Their kids have stars in their eyes, and they're trying to give their kids the best Christmas, just like the rest of us. And to know that they're going to fall short, and all of the guilt and the pressure that's probably on them as they're doing the best they can as a parent, to suddenly get a phone call that says, hey, all your items that you put on layaway have been paid off, and Santa just wants you to have an amazing Christmas. Come pick up all your layaway items. I can't even imagine what that phone call would have been like, mm-hmm. not only for the worker at Walmart, but also the person or the family receiving that phone call. Like, what kind of kind of hope did that just inject into them all at once? And I know it's still talking about spending money and it's still talking about, paying commercial for Christmas, but the act that did, the generosity that was shown to those families, that to me is what's being lost in the Christmas season that I want to get back to. Is like, how do we show each other in this new global environment? How do we show love like that without feeling like we can't? Because there's a lot of times I think people want to reach out and they feel like they can't because they don't either align with they see individuals and say, well, I'm the enemy because I'm not like them for one way or the other. But how do we keep showing love like that? Because I think that's important. And to me, that's the element of Christmas that keeps getting forgotten about or we don't use very often.
Yeah. Well, we could probably start by wishing people a happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
I mean, just a thought, Malin, just an idea, but.
Oh, here we go. I told you I didn't want to get into that, but I will if you want to.
No, that's okay. So you wanted to talk about decor, though.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So I wrote that down. Okay, so this is kind of the lighter side of it. Maybe we should have started here before we went down the doomsday Christmas slide.
No, it's like a bouncy ball. We're just rebounding, and we're going to end on a high, happy note.
Well, and when you were talking about the $900 billion,
900 and what was it? 936.3. Let me just double check that. $936.3 billion.
Yeah, I can't. That's money I can't even fathom. But when you were talking about that, and I was talking about gifts and how much of that was in decoration, it made me want to ask a question for you, Jamie, which is, what do you think, or when do you think is an appropriate time to put up Christmas decorations?
I think right after Labor Day.
Shut up. No,
okay.
I leave mine up all year round. Why? Doesn't everybody?
No, you're right. I'm kidding. Although I really, really, really am interested in those permanent like holiday lights that go on the outside of the house that you can like adjust for every holiday. I am down for that and feel like I need to purchase my own home just so I can do that. But not Labor Day. I was kidding. But I am one of those early people. Like,
look at you say that even 1st. Look at you say that with a scrunched up face though. Because right? You're like, oh, I'm one of those people.
I am. I want to soak as much out of it as I can. Although I have a little embarrassing story for you. Last year, I don't even remember what was happening last year around Christmas time, but it was super busy. I think I got super busy with work. The kids weren't around as much and they weren't helping with, household stuff like they used to. We used to have a big push to take everything down by the 15th of January. That was kind of my deadline. And last year, my daughter's boyfriend's family came over to pick her up or drop something off or something. And it was I think it was March 3rd. And his little brother came in and he was like tapping me on the shoulder and he's like, can I ask you a question? And I was like, sure. And he's like, why is your Christmas tree still up?
Okay, I'm gonna come to your rescue here for a minute because funny story.
Thank you.
Funny story. So my wife and I were married, I think it was year number 2 or 3. So we were still pretty new in our marriage. And she was either just done with college or we were both still in college. I know I was for sure. And we were working full time. Life was busy, right? We didn't have kids yet, but we were, going 100 miles an hour. And we decorated for Christmas and our Christmas tree was up and we did the present thing. And then New Year's happened. And then her birthday, which is in the middle of January, happened. And then suddenly the Super Bowl was here, which is the first weekend in February. And it was then Valentine's. And then our anniversary was around the middle of February. And our tree was still up. And I tell you, it was probably after our anniversary. So we're talking the end of February when we finally were like, oh yeah, the Christmas tree's up. I swear we went blind to it. We could not see it because it was part of the living room at that point for a fourth of the year because it's been there for 3 months. And we finally took it down. It was the end of February. So I can relate to that a little bit. And most of it was because, we were busy. But part of it, because we didn't even light it anymore either, because we love when you can just sit in the living room and it's just by Christmas tree lights. We weren't even lighting anymore. It's like we went blind to it. Like we could not see it in the room because it was just like a couch or a chair. So
that makes me feel slightly better. I'm not gonna lie.
It can happen. It's a thing.
So when do you decorate for Christmas at your house?
Okay, so again, part of it is part of my psychology, I think, that has to do with when I worked for Walmart, and I believe every holiday has its own time. And so, Halloween gets done, then we make sure we at least celebrate Thanksgiving. There's not a lot of Thanksgiving decorations, but we do put some out. So the house is mostly harvest and Thanksgiving. And then after Thanksgiving, I was raised that my mom would transform the house after Thanksgiving meal. She would, get all the dishes put away. We would help wash them all. And then as soon as we were done drying the last dish, she said, everyone downstairs and start pulling Christmas up, as she was going around the house, taking down all of the harvest and Thanksgiving decorations. And we would do it right after Thanksgiving all the way until we went to bed that night. But the house would be ready for Christmas the next day. So I grew up with decorating right after we ate our Thanksgiving meal, and it would be up until around the first part of January. Our household is a little bit different. So we do wait till after Thanksgiving, but we try to have it up no later than December 1st, all decorations for Christmas. And then if you left it up to me, December 26th, because I've tried to start taking decorations down after everyone's opened presents on the 25th, and my hands were slapped by the entire family. So now we wait until after the first of the year. So we have basically a month of Christmas decorations and Christmas trees and lights up around our house. How about you? What do you do?
It depends. Every once in a while, I tell the family. Just the last couple of years, actually, I tell the family the only thing I want for my birthday is to be able to decorate for Christmas as early as I feel like decorating for Christmas. And so my partner, Doyle, is really anti puking up Christmas before Thanksgiving, but I do go as early as November 1st. I will put up Christmas decorations. So, wow. And I have Christmas decorations that are really winter decorations that I can leave up longer because I love them so much. But November 1st. And then I try to have it done. Like I have tried to take it down by the end of the weekend after the 1st or the week of the 1st. You know what I mean? Like I want it up through New Year's Eve. And then after that, it can come down, except for last year when it was March 4th or 5th.
I forgot to tell you this. We were talking about decorations. So I ran into Bridget. So for those of you that have been listening to our episodes, Bridget was our, the decorator. She transformed her yard into a living Halloween display that you could walk through. So we had her on there. I think the episode was called, Spooky Spaces, I think is what it was. So I was talking to her. Do you know that she also transforms her yard for Christmas? Now, it's not her house and her yard, I believe. Now, it's not to the same extent as what she does for Halloween, but it takes her like weeks to pack everything away for Thanksgiving or for Halloween. And then she turns around and starts decorating for Christmas. So I just think that was interesting because I'm like, you must love to decorate, because I think I would just be like, I'm done. My house is the same way all year round until I get to Halloween, and then I'll decorate for Halloween and then be done. But I just thought that was interesting that she decorates for Christmas.
That's cool.
Okay, so so I know I've done a little bit of research because I was asking the question around, when is it too early? And I'm using too early because we all know that's subjective, but is there a time where it's, more aesthetically pleasing, or is it more normal to put your decorations up? And so I did find some numbers here, and I found kind of around when you should be decorating. So I didn't know this. I don't follow this, but it's kind of funny because it falls in line with a lot of what I just said. But I guess traditionally people decorate for Christmas. They follow the Advent calendar, which I don't follow the Advent calendar. I had to look up to see who even follows the Advent calendar. And most of the time that's Protestants, Roman Catholic, Orthodox, and Christians. Maybe that's Orthodox Christians. Maybe my comma was misplaced. But there's a set amount of people that follow.
Punctuation is important, man.
It's important. Words are important. But there's a lot of people that follow the Advent calendar, and I'm not one of them. I'm not really sure what that entails. So I looked up, well, when does the Advent calendar start? And a lot of people they follow the Advent calendar for when they put up their Christmas decorations, their Christmas trees, and then they take them down, which this is crazy. But traditionally, it's the fourth Sunday before Christmas. So for this year, that is December 3rd would be the first year or the first day that you would put up your Christmas decorations, which includes Christmas tree, lights, the whole 9 yards. And then it runs typically through December 24th. And so you would have your Christmas decorations up through the 24th. And then I guess you take them down on the 25th, which seems a little abrupt. I mean, not for me. I'd love to take everything down on the 25th, but I was a little surprised that it would go until the 24th. I don't know why the Advent calendar. I just looked up when is the most, when is the appropriate time to put up Christmas decorations. And this is what Google spit back at me, was traditionally they follow the Advent calendar. So for this year, that'd be December 3rd through December 24th. So I don't know if you have a thought around that or not, but.
Well, I do. I had found, actually you had found, and I read that article that we found about, when it's the best. So basically it was a magazine article and they polled their editor friends, right? And 65% of their editor friends said that you should decorate for Christmas right after Thanksgiving, like the first week of December. And then here's what I thought was interesting. 15% agree that decorating for Christmas after Thanksgiving is indeed the way to go, but suggest waiting longer into the month of December was better. And the remaining 20%, they were like, no waiting, give me Christmas early. Let's do it. So I am part of 20%. I think if we were to put that lens over the entire populace, at 20%, that's a lot. That's a lot of us early Christmas decorators.
And I know that 65 and 15, that is, there's a marginal difference, but really you could probably group those two people together, right after Thanksgiving, meaning what my mom did versus right after Thanksgiving, but wait a week. But you're looking at right there's 80% of the people that took that survey kind of fall after waiting to after Thanksgiving. So I'm kind of surprised because I've been seeing Christmas trees in people's windows and decorations outside well before Thanksgiving. So I'm kind of surprised it's only 20%. I thought it would be higher.
Well, and to be fair, some of that makes sense to me because it is freaking cold right now. And we had snow also. And so who wants to be out like stringing up the Christmas lights this week, right? When you could have done it last week when it was 60 degrees, like capitalize on the good weather when you have it. But I found this thing, and I don't do a lot of this, and I don't know that I've ever done this here on our podcast, but I would like to read this. I found this on Facebook, and it kind of summed up the whole thing for me, as far as like the early decoration and stuff. So if you don't mind, if you don't understand why someone puts their tree up early, sit with a woman. Sit with a college girl who just moved out and needs that comfort that was home. Sit with a newlywed excited to make her new home. Sit with the first-time mama who sees excitement for the future. Sit with a second, third, fourth-time mama who sees the twinkling magic in her children's eyes. Sit with a mama who's slowly losing her nest as her babies begin to move out and she needs that family. Sit with a mama who has had an empty nest, who's excited for the kids and grandkids to soon fill her home and running around that very tree. Sit with an elderly mama who As she stares into that tree, her final years, she's flooded with sweet, precious memories of smiles, laughter from her family and friends. Every year I see the debate of when is the right time to put up your Christmas tree. The right time is when you want to put up your Christmas tree. If it brings you joy, then do it. As I sit here this morning staring into my twinkly tree, which I did put my twinkling tree up about a week and a half ago, my mama heart is happy. There's a peacefulness in the glow, and it's brought joy. So I thought that was kind of fitting for what we're chatting about. If you want to decorate on November 1st or after Labor Day, you go for it. You do it.
Well, here's not that it matters, because I think this is such a personal, like, anybody is going to decorate when they want to, and I don't think anybody should be up in arms about it. But I do think...
Or listen to us. Don't listen to us. Decorate when you want to decorate.
I'm like, decorate whenever you want to. That's fine. But I personally will raise an eyebrow if it is any time before Thanksgiving. And if I see Christmas decorations after, let's say the 5th of January, again, I will be raising an eyebrow. But everybody does what makes them happy. And I love that saying. And I love there's some importance to putting up decorations. And if it makes you feel good, do it. If it makes you remind yourself of what the Christmas holiday is about and it puts you in a good space, then go ahead and decorate. I am not going to sit here and try to impose rules on when people can decorate. I just think it's interesting because you see them all over the place. And for me, I do want to give every holiday its own time. And Thanksgiving is one of those holidays that are kind of forgotten about. And Christmas is bigger than life. It's also one of my absolute favorite holidays of the entire year. I love the whole aspect of Christmas. And so it's easy for me to just be like, Thanksgiving, who, what, let's get into Christmas.
It's a matter of self-control. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. And which, anybody that knows me know that I have tons of self-control.
What just hit me? That super early decorating. I mean, I would do like a week before Thanksgiving or something like that when I was younger. But that super early decorating for me happened during 2020. I just remembered that. Like, it was the first week of November that I was like decorating for Christmas. And I think it was just because it was like, we hadn't had Thanksgiving we weren't going to have Thanksgiving together as a family. We were, we were doing the whole quarantine thing, social distancing thing, and there was too many in our group, and so we weren't getting together for Thanksgiving. We weren't sure if we would be able to get together for Christmas, and I just needed it after all of those months of working at home. And so that was the year that I'm like, forget it, I'm doing it. It's November 1st and I am decorating for Christmas, and I am going with it.
Yeah, that was without getting into the whole pandemic thing, but that was one of the trends that I just never really caught on for me, which, again, if you're cooped in your house, whatever keeps you sane, right?
Right.
Whatever keeps you sane. But there were some people, even around our neighborhood, that would put Christmas trees and I remember it was like July or August, and it was kind of, hey, if it makes you, feel better, put your Christmas tree lights on. And if that worked for some individuals, great. But I tell you what, it was weird. It was in the warm season going around and there's Christmas lights out. You're just like, what is happening? What is happening?
I'm here for it. And I think that maybe that started the whole like permanent holiday light thing, because I'm loving it. I love that Memorial Day had like red, white, and blue. And I love it. I love it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've talked about Christmas and commercialization enough, but it was fun talking with you again. I know it's been a while for us, so it was good to kind of
in the time warp that is podcasting. You guys don't understand that I think it's probably been, this is 3 weeks maybe.
Yeah,
I feel like it's been about 3 weeks since we did this. So, yeah, it was good. It was good to get back in it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to us. And again, we'll be back next week with another topic and another conversation. Until then,
before you go, don't forget to join us on Tuesday for Talk About It Tuesday. We'll bring you some hard-hitting, goofy or weird or serious news, whatever tickles our fancy.
We're still working on the tagline because it's a variety. So it's like a smorgasbord of, I don't know. We're still working on it.
Current event. It's a current event. We'll bring you a current event.
All right. Well, until next time. See you, everyone.
Bye. This podcast was recorded and edited by Jamie and Malin. Music by Famous Cats. If you have a topic you'd like us to discuss, please email us at roundtablemindset@gmail.com. Text or call us at 402-819-8999 or join the conversation on Facebook at Roundtable Mindset Podcast.
And never miss a new episode by making sure you like, subscribe, and share wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for being our guest today. See you next time at the Roundtable. And remember, your opinions and perspectives matter and are appreciated, but might not always be shared by others, and that's okay.